forgot there was a game. And you wound up having somebody like, I don't know, maybe Jordan Mason on the bench, and you're screwed. We don't want that here. Because it is the Vikings taking on the Steelers, this game in Dublin for this week. Now, as far as the game lines go, the Vikings are favored at 2.5 points. That should come as no surprise. The Steelers have been very uneven, which also shouldn't be a surprise given that they were rolling with Aaron Rodgers and a team that was going to be highly dependent on Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith meshing. And while they've won a couple of games, it hasn't meshed very well recently. The offense still has a lot of woes. The number one paid defense in the league hasn't stopped a nosebleed. And that's why the Vikings, with Carson Wentz, are favored in this game at 2.5 points. The over-under total, 40.5. We're not expecting a lot of fireworks in this game. And I would even lean towards betting the under on that. The only reason I would even be skeptical about betting the under would be that I do think Carson Wentz's play right now is an improvement over what we've seen in J.J. McCarthy those first couple of games. But the offense is still going to be centered around Jordan Mason and making sure they hide Wentz and don't overexpose them. But since the Steelers defense hasn't stopped anybody, that's the only risk I see to an under in this ball game. And I do like the Vikings to win at -2.5. Brian Flores has that defense playing well. And I'm not just talking about last week when they went psycho through the roof. All right, that's obviously not going to happen every single week. Aaron Rodgers is not going to turn over the ball quite to that level, the way Jake Browning did. But I do think the Vikings are the better team right now, are more in sync right now. Now, some betting notes for you. The Steelers, this should go the bolts to the point. Last 7 games are 2-5 against the spread. They haven't been able to win anyway. So give me the Vikings -2.5 in this game. I do have a player prop for you, but first I want to hear from Chaz Flaherty with his bets for this one.
So, plane broke down. We're sitting in Midway. What are you going to do? You know, it's so funny because I got some notes here that these early W's and L's that your team gets, they're not relative because you don't know what you're dealing with in terms of who you're playing and who's good and who isn't good. But this Minnesota-Pittsburgh game, I'm a big Wentz fan. I like him. But Cincinnati, that win may not mean anything. Pittsburgh, 7 TD passes in 3 games for the old guys. I think it leads the league. New Orleans against the spread on the.
Okay, we'll get the New Orleans in a second there. So Chaz right there kind of telling you, hey, I'm not sure about this game either. It could go either way. That's most of the NFL. But I will lean on the Vikings in this matchup because I don't like what I've seen out of the Steelers. You already have Aaron Rodgers complaining about when they got to Ireland as if somehow that's going to affect anything about what is a less than mediocre play at this point in his career with a less than mediocre offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. I mean, riddle me this. You guys who have DK Metcalf, you know this. Why is suddenly the most physical phenom, deep threat wide receiver in the league running patterns like he's Cooper Kupp? Like, that's what's happening right now. And that's what we have to deal with. Plus a defense that can't stop anybody. So give me that. My player prop for this game that I'm going to be locking in. And I'll talk more about this in my article tomorrow in the huddle. Jordan Mason over on his rushing yards. Right now, it's 81.5, the over-under line. I got him projected for 97.5 going into this game. It's one of my biggest edges of the week. Now, Mason, who has only started and been the bell cow for 1 game, is averaging 71 yards per game on 13 carries so far this season. And we know that that is skewed by the fact that Aaron Jones was in the ball game the first 2 weeks. Now Jones is out. Mason was a bell cow, over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns just a week ago. With a 21 implied point total out of Minnesota, it favors a neutral game script, which right now the Vikings are very much a run-first team, and the Steelers have been getting gashed in the run game. So give me Jordan Mason over the 81.5 rushing yards mark.